past couple of weeks, I've had a couple of home buyers that we've been working with question whether now is a good time to buy a home. There's some uncertainty about what's going to happen economically, what are home prices going to do, and on the overall market in general. And I thought they were great questions, and I think many of you may have them as well. So I thought I'd shoot this quick video and kind of share my thoughts on the latest numbers I have so that you can make the best decision that's right for you and your family. Hi, this is Andrew with the Andrew Smith team at eXp Realty. And I wanted to start out by saying in this video, I'm certainly not going to tell you, hey, everything's great. No matter what you may have heard, buy, buy, buy. Yeah, that just comes off as false and self-serving, and it's not the way that we work. So instead, I just want to answer the question and give you the information so that you can do what's right for you, because ultimately that is all that matters. So as we enter the final months of 2020, there is no doubt that this year has been full of challenges. There's been a lot of economic uncertainty. Obviously, unemployment has soared. We have an election next week. There's uncertainty with regards to that. But where there isn't uncertainty is what the housing market has done since the pandemic hit. And if you've seen any of the prior videos that I've done and information that I've put out, I've mentioned that it was almost as though the pause button was pressed. And then we kind of went into this quarantine period and everything kind of ground to a halt. And then as we started to come out of that, it's like we hit play again and then fast forward all at the same time. So what is usually a very busy real estate market in the spring and into the summer got pushed into an incredibly busy summer and even fall. And as of right now, there haven't been any signs whatsoever of it slowing down. Real estate itself has got a strong V-shaped recovery going on, and home prices have not only continued to rise, but are forecast by almost all of the major, actually by all of the major indexes at this time to continue rising into 2021. So why is that? Well, a lot of it's undersupply. One of the things that we've been talking about is that housing itself follows a simple supply and demand model, and demand has been really, really high. I mean, astronomically high. We're blowing away records in the real estate market with the number of homes going under contract and the number of projected sales that are going to happen this year and into next. In many cases, the areas where I work, here in Frisco, Texas, as well as in Southern California, we're seeing bidding wars. A good property comes onto the market and there's bidding wars. I'm actually working with someone buying property in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho right now. They're seeing bidding wars. I was in Arizona just a couple of weeks ago. They're seeing bidding wars. Las Vegas, bidding wars. Florida, bidding wars. They're going on all over the place, and it has to do with the undersupply. And buyer demand itself um, is so strong, and interest rates have really fueled that. And so there becomes that question: is how long can prices continue to appreciate? People, no matter what, still have to afford these homes. Well, believe it or not, even though these prices have gone up, with the fact that interest rates have come down as they have, home affordability as late as just last month in September actually increased over where it was a year ago. So as a result of that, there's no indication whatsoever that buyer demand is going to wane whatsoever. So home price appreciation, it's going to vary from market to market. I mean, we're running 7 to 8% appreciation in the local market here. And depending on which forecast you look at, you've got Zillow forecasting 7% appreciation nationally next year, all the way down to CoreLogic that are forecasting appreciation of right around 0.2 to 0.5%. So they're forecasting it to stay relatively flat. But as a context there, it's only a couple of months ago that CoreLogic were saying that prices could fall by up to 6.6% in the next 12 months. So they've changed their tune, and I expect that their forecast is probably going to go up again as they revise that. But what about unemployment? And what about all the foreclosures that you've been hearing about? Well, I've seen it too. I mean, there's all over YouTube, there's all kinds of videos out there with expectations that a tsunami, a wave of foreclosures is coming. And I've been saying all along, I don't see it. I mean, I was active in the foreclosure market as an agent last time around, and conditions now are just so very different. It's not the same thing at all. But going back to unemployment, unemployment's high, without a doubt. Um, but it is coming down. I mean, the number of those unemployed continues to fall. Yes, there are still a large number of new unemployment claims being filed week over week. However, the number of continuing claims, ongoing claims, continues a downward trend. It's not going down as fast as it was a couple of months ago, but it is still going down. And I've said all along that we've got a recession that we've been in that has hammered the service and hospitality sector. Waitresses, bartenders, hotel people, travel industry, leisure, entertainment, all of those have been absolutely decimated. Completely understand that. But if you look at the vast majority of those people that have been impacted, it has had a much larger impact on the rental market than it has the housing market. As a larger number of those people are more likely to be renters than they are homeowners. That's not trying to make a general statement. That's just in general what we are generalized, unanimous statement, I should say. But in general, that's what we've seen. The rental market is going to have some challenges ahead. I openly admit that. I know that there's people that are months behind on their rent. They're living paycheck to paycheck. And, without the increase in unemployment from the government, without a new stimulus being passed, they are really hurting. They can't be ignored. And that's playing tough for many landlords out there, especially those that own multifamily and apartments. Single family, if it gets to the point where those renters have to move out, again, the equity has been built up enough that those properties could probably be sold. Well, in fact, I know they could be sold. So it remains to be seen how that will play out, especially as we don't know exactly how long the moratoriums are going to be in place. What about foreclosures, though? What about coming back to the original question I posed? Is it a good time to buy? Are we going to see a wave of distressed properties? And again, I'm going to say no. Ivy Zellman, CEO of Zellman Associates, she's a highly regarded expert in the housing industry. She said in a podcast just over a week ago, the likelihood of us having a foreclosure crisis again is about 0%. So why is she saying that? Well, what most people have been saying about the foreclosures is obviously from forbearances. A lot of people, right when this hit, couldn't pay their mortgage. They were furloughed, they'd lost their jobs. So those homes were going to go into foreclosure, which was going to lead to that big wave. The problem is there's a lot of what ifs. What if this happens? What if that happens? But that's not what's actually happened. So let's take a look at some actual numbers. Of the 5.289 million families that were granted forbearance upon this crisis starting, 2.8 million of those are in a forbearance extension. Okay, so those homes, they went into their initial forbearance, usually that first 90 days, and those forbearances have been extended and different workouts are being done. The 41%, I should say, of all of those homes that went into forbearance are no longer in forbearance. 1.8 million of them have come out of forbearance. They've either caught up or they've modified the loan. 363,000 of those homes have been paid off. The mortgage has been paid off, more than likely through selling the home. When it all comes down to it, there is only a very small percentage that are looking at being in the foreclosure pipeline. As a matter of fact, only 54,000 of those homes had their forbearance period expire and are now actually delinquent and in the foreclosure process. That's a lot different from the millions of foreclosures some would like to say that we were having. Another 267,000 got to the end of their forbearance period, it's expired, but they're currently in some sort of loss mitigation, meaning they're negotiating with their lender on what the next steps are. Okay, so again, has this finally been, have we reached the end of the story? No, we haven't. But to think that all of those homes that were in forbearance were suddenly going to end up in foreclosure is just a flawed way of thinking. Now, let's put it a different way. Of all of those homes currently in active forbearance, 91% of them have at least 11% equity. Why is that important? Well, 11% equity is more than enough to pay a real estate commission, closing costs, get that home sold, and move, right? So if you've got someone that really has reached the point that they can't afford that home, then there's options. I don't think anyone is just going to walk away and leave any amount of equity on the table. It just doesn't make any sense. It's not logical. The logical thing is that they're going to reach a point where they're going to say, we can't afford this. We're not going to be able to work this out. Demand for housing is so high. Let's sell the house. Let's sell the house and move on. Only 1% of all of the loans in active forbearance currently have a loan to value of 100% or more, meaning no equity, none at all. Right. So there are some options out there with so demand being as high as it is right now, with supply low, and with the equity that has been built up over the years, that is going to cause homes to continue to appreciate as we go forward. And again, it's why I do not see a massive increase in delinquencies and foreclosures like many have been predicting to say it's going to be as bad as it was before. It's not. Unless something happens completely unforeseen that we don't know of right now. So, hopefully, that helps a little bit. If you have any questions about that, please reach out. I'd be happy to share exactly where I got this information. As a matter of fact, if you click the link below to my blog, many of the graphs and the sources that this information is from are cited. But again, if you've got questions about your specific situation, please reach out. I'm always happy to help however I can.